and Friday partly cloudy with a high near 76. Grab a tray of Cafe Latte's cafeteria and select from a wide variety of soups and sandwiches. The bakery has fresh baked bread daily, along with cakes and more. And the pizza and wine bar features gourmet pizzas that pair perfectly with their 30-plus wines by the glass. Located off Victoria and Grand, more at cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. In the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. And, of course, in Seattle at night, 1150 AM KKNW. It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Thursday. Good to have you with us today. A special treat. Dr. David Joffe is going to join us in a little bit. It is 7 o'clock in the morning down there in Sydney, Australia. He is going to join us a little bit later on to talk about Long COVID Awareness Day, as well as also just COVID. And I don't know if you caught the story, the Trump administration cutting a substantial amount of money towards not only COVID and COVID prevention, but as well, their 10,000 jobs over at the Health and Human Services. Yeah, we are headed for a nightmare. Anyway, we're going to talk to David Joffe about this and some of the latest the findings there. Patrick is joining us today. Hello, Patrick.
How are you today? Did you go grocery shopping since it's Thursday?
It is Thursday. I hit the grocery store. It was okay. I will say this. You know it's bad with eggs when there's the guy looking at you in the dairy aisle saying, hey, take a look at the price on these. Hey, let me show you something. Look at over here. Look at these. They're only $6.99 a dozen. Yikes. Well, okay, $6.99 a dozen I'm buying. You know, I did. I actually went. This is where we're at right now. It's the giddiness that sounds creepy. That is lower than. Well, I mean, you guys were going cray against Biden for $5 a dozen eggs. I mean, the guy's looking at me like, I think it was $6.59 was the dozen eggs. $6.59 for a dozen. Like, look at this great value. You got to be kidding me, man. Yeah, it is the world that we live in right now. There. So, the baseball fever. Have you caught it yet, Patrick?
I have caught it, and I was aggravated because my radio app wasn't working properly.
Heaven forbid we do the show. The Twins are playing now, man. What game were you going to listen to the Twins game while we do the show?
Oh no, I was one of the earlier games. It was New York Yankees and the Brewers, which it was not working on my phone for some reason.
Okay.
So then I ended up with the Orioles and Toronto, so I did at least find some consolation prize in all of that.
Orioles, Toronto, I don't know. That's really their sort of thing. For all of our affiliates here, let's see. Who is playing? Okay, the Mariners play the Athletics. That's at 10 p.m. That's they're hosting. That's their season opener. Cubbies are at the D-backs. That's a 9:10 start time. Well, thanks for nothing to start the season off with that. What are the White Sox doing? Okay, they host the Angels. White Sox host the Angels there. If you're a Southsider fan, and of course the Twins are at St. Louis. Which is probably the best pitching matchup of the day, Sonny Gray versus Pablo Lopez. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it is a good one.
So there you go. Baseball fever, catch it, unless you're a Chicago White Sox fan, because that's a very curable disease. I'm sorry, White Sox fan. I know we have White Sox fan listening too. I know it. I'm sorry. It just is. I mean, it's funny because I've watched a lot of an analysis of the American League Central. And everyone talks about there's 4 great teams there, and then there are the Chicago White Sox. So, hey, prove them wrong. Prove them wrong. Knock yourself out. Good for you. 952-946-6205. Speaking of baseball, one of the wildest things, and I don't know if this is the same way for Chicago, whether it's the White Sox or the Cubbies or Seattle. I'm going to guess for Seattle for sure. There's a similar. When the Twins host Toronto, the sole Canadian team, when they host Toronto, if you go to Target Field where the Twins play, it is packed with Toronto fans. the Canadians come down in force. Have you ever been to one of those games?
I can actually address that for Seattle. It does happen there. I have a friend from Seattle, and he says it's so overrun with Blue Jays fans that they actually sell Blue Jays merchandise at the Mariners team store, which some Mariners fans go, "Hey, that's not cool."
Wait, I'm with you on that one. But I mean, not a surprise. Vancouver, the lovely city of Vancouver, just north of there, and obviously a lot of Toronto fans there. This is big business, and this is just in the case of the Mariners or the Twins or Cubbies or the White Sox. This is just a weekend series. There are places in this country, particularly in the southeastern United States, which they are basically, I mean, you go down there, there's Canadian flags flying down there because they get so many Canadians coming down in tourism. Well, maybe not so much. Airline travel between Canada and the U.S. is collapsing under Trump's tariff war, with flight bookings between the two countries down over 70%. Yikes. According to data from the aviation analytics company OAG, airline capacity between Canada and the U.S. has been reduced through October 2025, with the biggest cuts occurring between the months of July and August, which is considered peak travel season. Passengers booking on Canada and U.S. routes are currently down by over 70% compared to the same time last year. I mean, that is huge. That is a major discrepancy. Comparing the available bookings from March 2024 to March 2025, OAG looked at how many people have booked transborder flights in the 6-month period between April and September. It found that the number of tickets booked was down anywhere from 71% to 76%. Total capacity available for passengers on flights between the two countries has also seen a reduction, likely a response to increasing demands. The data shows that more than 320,000 seats have been removed by airlines operating between the two countries through the end of October, with the highest cuts 3.5% also occurring during the peak summer months. So basically, we're losing a substantial 70% of our Canadian tourism dollar that comes down into this country. We are losing. And that's going to hurt. And I understand you're saying, well, man, what's a big deal? Okay, so if a few Canadians don't come down. I don't think you understand margins in business. If you are in the tourism areas and you have high seasons and low seasons, you need to maximize those high seasons to get through the low seasons. And it doesn't mean that, that some areas low seasons are a lot better than other areas, but you still need to make bang for your buck. And if you're in one of these areas where they have a high amount of vacation travelers, what else do you have down there? You have more rentals, more hotels, more restaurants, more people trying to figure out ways to get that tourism dollar away from the traveler. I mean, if you go to some places that, that it's not as much, but it's the difference between, in nothing in the fine city of Bloomington, Illinois. I've been to Bloomington, Illinois. It's a nice town. But it's not Chicago. Chicago, there's a lot of things you can do in Chicago, and you can do a lot of things there. So if you're in Bloomington, if you're in an area like that, and you're looking at trying to get some tourism dollars into Bloomington that are not related necessarily to the college, you have kind of a short window to do it, because there's not a lot of people that are looking in January, February of doing a mighty trip to Bloomington, Illinois before you send your horse. I'm sure it's a fun town in the winter months, but you get my point. These margins are, in some cases, relatively thin. And there's I know people that work in the tourism industry where they basically, it's everything after a certain date is their profit. And sometimes it's not until late September, early October. And so then they're really banking on their holiday rentals, their holiday vacationer, to basically give them a nice bit of income for the year. If you're already going to be down dramatically, and I mean, what was it, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, which is on the north side, right before you get to North Carolina. Myrtle Beach has actually had like Canadian weeks where they have Canadians come down in force. And when I was down there, they were talking about the dramatic decrease in the amount of bookings, and the South Carolina tourism, which once again, this is a red state. This is an area where they want people to come and visit. They don't have the guts to look at Trump and say, stop being a freaking knucklehead and stop killing our tourism industry. Nope. They have to sit there as like, well, I guess it's all for the best in the end. Well, it's easy for you to say as half the businesses in a community go under because they lost 3 weeks worth of revenue for the year. And in some cases, that's it. So, yeah, if you think to yourself, what's the big deal about getting into a fight with Canada? Well, I can tell you there's a pretty big deal about that. 952-946-6205. I do have to put this note out here. All feel sorry for Ellie Stefanik. The Trump administration has announced that they will not put her forward as the UN secretary because basically the margins, or UN ambassador, the margins in the House are so narrow, and they are actually now very concerned about at least one of those races in Florida next Tuesday, which is supposed to be a slam dunk win for the Republicans, and it doesn't look like it's going to be. And as a matter of fact, some very concerned numbers. The fact that the Trump administration has pulled back on her and basically said, nope, we are not going to put you forward as UN ambassador, tells you they're anticipating that seat not being there for them, which is huge. She's been waiting. Stefanik, who's been one of the most loyal Trump stooges, and does not even, she was the number 4 person in the House for a while. She doesn't have a leadership position. She basically resigned all of her positions and her committees in anticipation of becoming the ambassador to the UN. She's basically doing really not much. Now they basically said, well, we're not going to put you forward. Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chair James Risch, the Republican from Idaho, told reporters Thursday that Stefanik's nomination would be pulled shortly before Trump confirmed the news on Truth Social. Trump will do a teletown halls on Thursday for the special elections to replace Gates and Walz. In Florida 1, Republicans look on course to replace Gates with nominee Jimmy Patronis. But in Florida 6, GOP nominee Randy Fine has underperformed to the extent that the state and national parties had to intervene. Public polling shows Fine within the margin of error in the district, which Trump won by 30 points in November. Private GOP polling is even scarier for Republicans. A recent survey by Tony Fabrizio, who was the chief strategist for Trump in 2024, has Fine with just a 3 percentage point lead, according to people familiar with the data. And once again, that all comes down to, are people showing up to vote? It's a special election. Stefanik's nomination was expected to move forward on Wednesday, the day after the Florida special elections. Congresswoman Stefanik is a great ally of Trump. We look forward to her confirmation in the next ambassador of the United Nations, said a press secretary last week. Stefanik's seat would have been filled in a special election in New York, where Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul has given signs she would slow walk the replacement. Stefanik has worked hard for the years to raise her stature in Trump's orbit. The pulled nomination leaves her stranded in the House with no leadership position and reduced committee workload as she's planning around a forthcoming administration role. So, well, and like I said, if you're the Republicans, and Stein brought this up yesterday, you had the one woman who said, I'm pregnant, and once again, it's Johnson has said, oh, you can't vote, you have to vote on the floor. Now he's got to basically go after Democrat women who are pregnant with kids and were nursing. Now, basically, he's put in the same position. He's going to have to reverse that rule because they don't have the votes to pass anything right now in the U.S. House. We'll take a break, come back. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Everyone wants to maximize their dollar. If you're looking for a new vehicle, the only place to go is Rudy Luther Toyota. Consumer Reports Best of 2025 edition has the most reliable vehicles as Toyotas. The Toyota Corolla, RAV4, and RAV4 Prime top the list of the most reliable cars. And Toyotas are fuel efficient, meaning less money at the pumps. Consumer Reports Best of Gas Mileage ranking has the Prius Camry, Corolla Cross Hybrid, RAV4 Hybrid, and the Highlander Hybrid top of their classes. Reliability and fuel efficiency, you'll find them both at Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
You may not think of it, but winter is a great time to take care of those exterior home projects. This is Chad, owner of AM 950 for Snap Construction. Most people wait until the warmer months for their exterior home projects, but labor costs are actually lowest in the winter. And that's true for the contractor I trust, Snap Construction. Arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor and insulation contractor in the metro. Are you noticing ice dams on your house? Or is your furnace constantly running and you're still not comfortable? In addition to your exterior home projects, winter is also a great time to get your insulation checked with a free energy audit from Snap Construction. The average cost to upgrade your insulation is oftentimes less than a new furnace. Plus, there are rebates available from your energy provider when you upgrade your insulation. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. So don't wait for prices to rise in the warmer months. Get a free estimate now by calling 612-333-SNAP, 612-333-SNAP, or go to snapconstruction.com.
Progressive change doesn't just happen. It takes dedication and a lot of hard work. 25 years ago, the DataBank pioneered a new generation of software tools for progressive organizations here in Minnesota. Since then, thousands of organizations have used the DataBank to create progressive change. Today, the DataBank continues to help progressive organizations like AM 950. To have the DataBank help your organization build capacity and create more change, text CHANGE to 612-540-0500 or go to thedatabank.com. The DataBank, a quarter century of dedication and hard work for progressive organizations.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. I want to, as well, we need to talk a little bit about some numbers here because once again, the Trump administration is not going over well. And what I find to be remarkable is there does seem, I'm surprised it's actually not worse. If you want to know the truth, I'm surprised that these numbers are not worse. And I think that the reason why they're not worse is because I think I think they're stunned. And I mean, I think a lot of Republicans in this country are stunned because once again, they voted for this. He said he was going to do this, but they all thought, well, I'll have my little bubble. He's clearly not going to take away my Social Security, my Medicaid. He's not going to close my schools. He's not going to get rid of my health insurance. He's not going to fire my brother, who's the veteran. He's not going to do all these things. No, he's not going to hurt my business by deporting my workers. And I think there is this stunned level of, okay, and for lack of a better way to say it, I think they're hoping that tomorrow it's like the stock market's up 25,000 points and everybody gets a free puppy and $1 million, and they're waiting for something like that. And when the longer it takes for them to realize, okay, that's not coming, these numbers are going to drop and they're going to drop fast. Now, let's talk about a few of the things here. In regards to Canada and Greenland, survey of 1,677 U.S. adults was conducted March 20th to 24th. Just as the White House was announcing plans to send a delegation of senior officials to Greenland, most people do not want Greenland or Canada as a state. Only 19% of people said they would favor the move to annex Greenland. 19%, that's it. Even worse, 17% have said that they want Canada to be part of the United States. Half the Americans oppose annexing Greenland, and a clear majority, on the flip side, roughly half of Americans oppose annexing Greenland, and a clear majority oppose acquiring Canada. So basically, so there's only 19% think getting Greenland would be a good idea. 17% think getting Canada would be a good idea. But, 49% are against annexing Greenland. 57%, an overwhelming majority. By the way, have you noticed that all of a sudden he's not talking about Canada that much anymore? Basically. So the people are not on board. The people of this country are not on board with this new version of Manifest Destiny, where he feels as if he basically can go on out there. And reminder, I think a lot of Trump's problem, and I'm dead serious, is he's a weak coward of a man. And Justin Trudeau looked a lot better than him. And so, and that's just how he's picked fights with Denmark and Canada. Who does that? Who does that? I mean, outside of New Zealand, it's probably. I mean, I don't even understand how you go out and look at the most happiest places, the most content people, and you say, I can't stand that. I'm going after them. And I mean, I think there's a lot of Trump's id and psyche on display lately in his deteriorating mind. But I honestly think a lot of what was on with Canada, was, I don't like Pretty Man. Pretty Man runs Canada. I don't like Canada, and I don't like Pretty Man. Every other women think Pretty Man's pretty. I don't like Pretty Man. 3 out of 4 Americans, including 60% of Republicans, say the Trump administration use of the Signal group chat to discuss military strikes is a serious problem. According to the first poll out, the national security breach, the White House's efforts to downplay the report from The Atlantic so far have failed to quell the controversy. 74% of Americans overall, 74% say the group chat that discussed U.S. strikes on Yemen was a very or somewhat serious problem. Over 53%, over half the country thinks it's a serious problem. But you factor in very and somewhat, 74% of the population thinks, oh yeah, you shouldn't be doing this. And this was a pretty large, this is a YouGov online, 5,976 U.S. adults. Over a quarter of Republicans polled said it was a very serious problem. So even within their own ranks, most people think it's a bad problem. Or not most, but 28%. Only 13% of Americans, only 13% say it was no big deal. I mean, that's less than the amount of people that think we should go get Greenland, for goodness sakes. They recently asked about Clinton's email in September of 2022. At that point, 3 out of 5 Americans viewed the controversy as very or somewhat serious problem. So that was at 62%. So this is when they sit there and they say, and once again, that whole Hillary Clinton thing was Republicans hammering on that, demanding answers. 62% of Americans, now 74% think Signal, and every Republican is, it's no big deal. Like I said, I hope you have good, comfortable walking shoes, because you're not just protesting for a few weeks here. You have to be protesting until this regime is out of power, and you have to be voting every freaking election for the next 30 years. 30 years. You cannot take one off. You can't go back to that. Oh, I like the Democrats worse than Donald Trump Jr. Yeah, no, they're not. And only an idiot would think that. And I'll say that again. If it's November of 2024 and you actually thought to yourself, oh, the Democrats are no better than the Republicans, you're an idiot. He said what he was going to do. I can't help you. Anyway, I'm not letting it go. Nope. Not as I watch the chaos and the 500 dumpster fires that ignite every day in this country. Nope, I'm not letting it go. Overall, Trump not doing too well. 2 months into Trump's second term, more Americans say his presidential performance has been worse rather than better than expected. Another 22% Trump has been about the same as they expected. This was a survey of 1,677 adults. Finds the president struggling and amid rising economic uncertainty to maintain the political momentum that greeted his re-election last November. Immediately after Trump's November 5th victory, 51% of Americans said they approved of the way he handled his first term. But today those numbers are reversed, with the Americans disapproving at 50% than approving. No mandate. And likewise, more Americans now rate Trump unfavorably than favorably. 52% label him unfavorably. I can't believe it's that low. Like I said, when I look at these numbers, the first thing I say to myself is there's got to be just a lot of people who are like, okay, I'll keep waiting. But if by June 1st, after I've been fired and I have no health care and Social Security is gone and I don't have any food aid and the kids' school is closing and the hospital's closing down and all these things, unless I get my puppy dog and my $1 million, I might think that he was lying to me. More Americans rate Trump unfavorably than favorably. on a personal level as well. After the election, Trump's favorability rating narrowly exceeded his unfavorable, but it's been dropping. So are people starting to wake up? A little bit. But we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go. Yikes. I'll tell you what, let's take a break. Come on back. Dr. David Jaffe going to join Dr. David Jaffe going to join us. When we do return, it's the Matt McNeil Show.
Did you know Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken airs 5 nights a week at 10 p.m.? That's 5 nights of talking about ghosts, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. We're talking about the paranormal every Monday through Friday with some of the most trusted names in the field. Join us and step into the unknown with Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken, Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Only if you dare.
Come see the trained chimp. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 3 to 5 p.m. weekday afternoons, right here on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Reading can help manage stress and anxiety during these chaotic Trump years. If you're craving something lighter, check out Next Chapter Booksellers' new fiction tables. Explore their collection of Japanese and Korean healing fiction. They're cozy, whimsical stories filled with magical cats, quaint cafes, and more. Or if you're in the mood for something more intense, check out their upsetting shelf, filled with the strangest and most surreal novels you'll find anywhere. So have Next Chapter Booksellers help you keep your sanity over the next 4 years. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
I'm having a really hard time lately, and I'm worried no one will understand what I'm going through.
I feel so alone. I wish there was somebody I could talk to.
If you're looking for support, Mental Health Minnesota is here for you, with connections to others who have also struggled with their mental health and can provide support and resources. Services are anonymous, confidential, free of charge, and open 7 days a week. Connect today at mentalhealthmn.org or call 855-HERE-FOR-MN today. Sponsored by Mental Health Minnesota, the Minnesota Broadcasters Association, and this station.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly sunny skies today with a high near 60, tonight cloudy with a low around 47, and Friday partly cloudy with a high near 76. Grab a tray of Cafe Latte's Cafeteria and select from a wide variety of soups and sandwiches. The bakery has fresh baked bread daily, along with cakes and more. And the Pizza and Wine Bar features gourmet pizzas that pair perfectly with their 30-plus wines by the glass. Located off Victoria and Grand, more at cafelatte.com.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, in the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW, and of course in Minneapolis, St. Paul, on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Thursday. It's an absolute privilege to be joined today. Hopefully Dr. David Jaffe is kind enough to join us. We've had him on before. He is the World Health Network long COVID expert, advisory group vice chair. He's a visiting medical officer with respiratory and sleep medicine at the Royal North Shore Hospital in Sydney. He has worked with the Woolcock Institute of Medical Research as well in Australia. And he's kind enough today to take some time to talk a little bit about COVID, long COVID, and our